Hey, what is up, YouTube? It's your girl Miranda here, and welcome to a brand new channel. So I decided to split off a second channel from my main to do Star Wars Unlimited content because I really love this game, and I just wanted to keep all my Star Wars Unlimited content separate from my normal YouTube stuff. So I hope you enjoy. And if you're new here, if you have no idea who I am, hello, I'm Miranda. Why should you listen to me? Well, I mean, I feel like I'm okay at this game, and I am a long retired a professional Magic the Gathering player. So if you dig deep into my main channel, you'll find some old draft videos on there. So the main focus of this channel will be to cover limited and just do kind of like fun stuff like tier lists and like box breaks and stuff like that. But mainly, I want to be focused on limited. So we're starting off with a limited set review for the new set that's coming out, Legends of the Force. So this is definitely something that I am very keen to do. I've actually been writing limited set reviews since set 3. I've just been sharing them with my friends and not really posting them online anywhere. So this is the first one that's actually being released to the wider world. Anyways, so just a really quick disclaimer. There's just a quick note on sealed versus draft. So I'm part of the school of thought that I'd rather have good cards and a mediocre leader than the other way around. So you don't really have any control over what leaders you have access to in sealed. Sometimes you just play a leader because it has the aspects you want. Draft is a little bit different because you already know what leaders you have before you start drafting. Now this is more geared towards the pre-release, but I might comment on draft viability like here and there. Also, like I don't give ratings on cards. Card valuation is very highly dependent on your leader and the rest of your cards in your deck. So, I mean, obviously there are cards that are kind of universally good and there are cards that are universally bad, but it's more about knowing how to make the best use of the cards that you have, because the values of cards can rise or fall quite significantly based on your circumstances. So we're going to start with the leaders. So the very first one is Kylo Ren. Now this guy is, oh boy, he's far too combo wombo for my liking. I mean, loading up your deck with a bunch of upgrades is rarely a winning strategies, and the leader side doesn't affect the board. I mean, yeah, you can make a monster sentinel on your flip turn, but a lot of the times you're just going to be dead by then. Next up is Mother Talzin. Now this is a winning strategy. Getting value trades is always welcome and limited, and her unit side is quite obnoxious for your opponent to deal with. So this is definitely one of the leaders that I want to get. Next one is Ahsoka Tano. She's not the most exciting leader in the world, but she's still playable. She definitely gets better if you have like late games bombs that you want to sell out for. Definitely not something I'm like really looking forward to play. So next up is Kanan Jarrus. So one thing to keep in mind is that the only other Spectre in the set is Ezra Bridger. So you're gonna want to be a creature focused deck. Yeah, I mean, he's great if you have the cards for it, but if you really don't have very many good creatures, you're better off just playing Ahsoka. Next one is Morgan Elspeth. Now this is more of a constructed geared leader, and even then, like, I don't even think she's good there, but especially in limited, like you're almost certainly not getting discount more than once or twice per game. So she's just a blank leader most of the time. So, just kind of nah. Next one is Supreme Leader Snoke. Hell yeah, this is what I'm looking for. The ability can quickly get out of hand and lead to snowball games. Even on an empty board, pumping himself every turn is really hard to deal with. Definitely one of the leaders I want to have in my pool. Next, we have Avar Kriss. It's really going to be tough to make optimal use of this leader in limited. There really aren't that many uses for the Force, and it's going to be very unlikely to deploy her before the game is effectively over. She is ginormous when she does deploy, so she's worth considering at least, but I think the pools where you play her in are few and far between. Next up is Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's not quite as good as Snoke, as there will be situations where you don't have a unit to put the experience on because the ability is restricted to a unit that doesn't already have an experience on it. He is still quite strong, however, and it is nice that the ability doesn't require any resources. You just want to be sure to include a lot of early Force units to get that value train going. Especially there's the Cunning Heroic, a young Padawan, which you can start using it right from the first turn. So that's kind of like the optimal use of that ability. So this is the first of the promo leaders. So every pre-release pool is going to have one of these, and the other one that we'll get to a little bit later. So Darth Maul is he's kind of ho-hum in my opinion. I'd rather have the other aggression villainy leader, Third Sister, to be honest. That said, if you have units that like to be damaged, Maul does become a lot more attractive. And speaking of, we have Third Sister. Hidden is quite a strong mechanic, and having a leader that is extremely difficult to remove the turn that she deploys is a nightmare for your opponent. Suddenly, all those like high risk like upgrade cards really become safe when you put them on her. If you give her a lightsaber, the game will end very quickly. So we're going to get into this a little bit later in the review, but like overall, I'm not a huge fan of like upgrades and lightsabers. But Third Sister kind of flips the script on that, where you can avoid getting blown out a lot of the time. Like you're pretty much guaranteed to get that first attack with that lightsaber. So yeah, I think she's quite a powerful leader in Limited. Next up is the first of the heroic aggression leaders, Kit Fisto. I'm never going to get over this name. Thanks, George. The unit side is absolute poo-poo, but at least the leader side can do some work. Sadly, as bad as this leader is, the other aggression heroism leader is even worse. So you're going to be stuck with him sometimes. Just jam in every single in-aspect Jedi card you have and hope for the best, I guess. Oh boy. She's not quite trench levels of unplayable, but this is really treading the line of how bad a leader can be before you won't play it under any circumstances. Only play this if you're desperate for the aspects and we're unlucky enough to not have a kit in your pool. Next up is Barriss Offee. I mean, she's fine. I mean, limited decks typically don't play a ton of events, but it is nice to get a discount on the ones you do play. And you can definitely do a lot worse. I think what's really holding Barriss back is like there's really not that many there's not really that many force units in Cunning Villainy. So I don't know. She's not someone that like she's not a leader that's I'm looking to play, but I can definitely think of worse leaders. Next up is Grand Inquisitor. So this leader has Value Town written all over him. As with all the leaders that can use the Force, make sure you have a lot of early Force units, which, as we discussed earlier, Cunning doesn't have a ton of them. The ones they do have are very high quality. You have stuff like Shin Hati, which we'll get into later. And a lot of them do have hidden, so they're quite sticky as well. So this is definitely one of the standout leaders in the set for Limited. So like between Snoke and Grand Inquisitor and like even like Obi-Wan, like those are leaders I'm looking to play. Next up is Cal Kestis. Now I can't imagine ever playing this over Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon being the other promo leader in this set. It just like the body is so small. Like having your leader killed by several common units that cost the same or even cheaper is just not where you want to be. Now for Qui-Gon Jinn, I suspect most pools won't be able to get a lot of value from his ability. I mean, you could play a bunch of out-of-aspect units to really lean into it. Just don't blame me if you draw a handful of unplayables. So the next are the two mono-aspect leaders. So we'll start with Darth Revan. So just a quick note on both of them is that most limited decks, you're kind of scrounging for playables already. So if you're cutting an entire aspect, just imagine what's going to happen. You're just not going to have enough cards to make these leaders work, and you're going to end up with a huge chunk of your deck being out of aspect. Just play one of your other leaders. I will say that with Anakin Skywalker, you do get access to some additional cards, even if they are restricted to non-units. However, there really aren't that many powerful non-unit villainy cards in the set, so like honestly, just don't play this. You're gonna have a bad time. Next up are the rare bases. So I'm just gonna lump them all together here. Most decks are not gonna want these. I mean, there are corner cases I can think of where you don't have very many force units, but you still want to use the force sometimes. Even in those cases, I feel like you just built your deck wrong. So like, just play the common bases. All right, so we're going to go over all of the commons and uncommons. We're going to separate them by their aspect. So we're going to start off with Vigilance. All right, so we're going to start with Vigilance Villainy. So the first card is Karis. I'm only going to say this once, just because this applies to a lot of different units in the game, but every in-aspect turn 1, 2, 4 force unit should be in your deck. If it has a relevant ability, great. Still good if it's blank. Karis, of course, does have a great ability. Just be careful to not get her killed when you don't have the force. Next is Magistrate Scout. It's not a bad curve filler. It's no force, but the Restore 2 is nice. Nameless Terror. So the effectiveness of this card can vary wildly, but it should still make your deck. The best use of this card is when you have initiative heading into turn 2 and you can stop your opponent from getting the force. Even late game, it can do a cartel spacer impression. Just don't be afraid to resource it if it's not going to do anything, as the stats are a little poor. Now we have Supremacy Tie SF. So this would have been an all-star in the previous set, but here it's just solid. There's some value in having control of the space arena for free damage, since this set is very ground-focused. Next is Talzin's Assassin. Here we have a fantastic force payoff, and the stats aren't even terrible. Multiples of these would definitely push me towards these aspects. Next is Old Daka. It's an excellent uncommon for any deck with some knight units, and still good in any Villainy Vigilance deck, as we have Poe Dameron level stats here. These Night Sisters are cooking in this set. Next is Drain Essence. This is one of the less exciting removal cards, as most units will have more than 2 hit points. Still, it's very playable to pick off damaged units and get the force when your opponent doesn't expect it. Now into the Heroism Vigilance cards. First one is Lothwolf. So disclaimer, I thought this was amazing when I first saw it, because I I didn't read the this unit can't attack Bart. Yeah, I mean, I would only play this in a Canaan or maybe side it in against a hyper aggressive deck, but like you really can't afford to be playing units that don't attack. So next up is Ezra Bridger. So as we discussed earlier, the only other Spectre in the set is the Canaan leader. So you're going to want to play this in a heavy creature deck for maximum value. Still, like, a 3/5 for 3 is still really good, so even if you don't, I'd still play him. Next is Itinerant Warrior, or some people like to call it Internet Warrior. It's 4/4 shielded force unit. I mean, that's already great, so getting to heal 3 is a neat bonus. Next up is Jedi Guardian. So this is pretty bad in every deck except Ahsoka, where, you know, it becomes okay curve filler. Next is Plo Koon. He's a fine late game unit, if a little unexciting. It's another unit that's slightly better in Ahsoka, I guess. All right, next is Heirloom Lightsaber. So this is our first common lightsaber. As I said before, I generally don't like playing upgrades, as they can open you up to getting blown out by any number of cards. The ones worth playing either give you a huge board presence, like a Darksaber, or they give you some value even when they remove it. This one does neither of those things, and is basically a glorified Academy training. It can be okay as like a 30th card, or if you have some kind of synergy with it, but otherwise just leave it in your sideboard. All right, so now we're going to get into the neutral vigilance cards. First one is Owen Lars. It's Super Moisture Farmer. Sadly, there's no set 2 Ray here to make him a menace. I'm struggling to find a use case for him. Next is our first reprint, Guardian of the Wills. I mean, it's a turn 1 force unit, so we play it. It's probably the worst one, but hey, we gotta do what we gotta do. Next is Night Sister Warrior. I mean, the nicest thing I can say here is that she's slightly better than Guardian of the Wills. Next is another reprint, Padawan Starfighter. I mean, it's a playable turn 1 play, but it's somehow even worse than Guardian of the Wills. Most decks would rather play a force unit turn 1, so finding a spot in the curve to play this becomes awkward. It does get a little better in Kit Fisto, where, like, because it does have the Jedi tags, so like you just keep that in mind, but most decks don't really want this unless you're short on turn 1 plays. Next is Secretive Sage. Hey, it's Crafty Smuggler with the Force. I mean, you don't need me to tell you this is good. Next is Tauntaun. I mean, it's filler. I mean, it's obviously better in a Canaan deck. It's got poor stats, and it carries the risk that the ability won't do anything. So, yeah. Next is Watto. Oh boy, I really hate this character for reasons you can probably guess. Anyways, it's a filler card. I mean, 1 attack is basically worthless, and your opponent getting to choose with the on-attack ability makes it even worse. Next is Awakened Specters. I mean, it's a stat stick. It has some synergy with the nitrate, but you know, it's just there to fill out your curve. Next is Chirrut Imwe. Holy crap, this card is annoying for your opponent. I'd slam this in any vigilance deck. Like, it's so irritating to get through this card. Next is Luthen Rael. As I said earlier, I don't like playing most upgrades. He does have pretty good stats at least, so I would consider playing an item or two to get some extra value from the ability, but it's not strictly necessary. Next is Graceful Purrgil. It's another, I would only play this in a Kanan card. There just aren't that many space units in this set, and I really don't want to be paying 5 resources for 2 attack. Next is Grappling Guardian. Unlike the previous Space Wheel, this one actually does something when you play it. Sometimes. Next is Priestesses of the Force. I mean, it's an okay top-end card that should make the cut most of the time, but I can definitely see cutting it if you have better late-game cards. Next is Bolstered Endurance. Yuck. Next is Cure Wounds. I normally don't like these cards, but healing for 6 for 1 resource is a lot. It's worth considering if you have like a lot of like big butt units or like a really big leader, but I would cut this most of the time. Next is Soresu's Stance. I mean, a resource and a card for a shield token is super not worth it. Now we have Crushing Blow. Generally, you want your removal cards to cost less than the card that they're removing, and this one by definition isn't that. Still, it can be quite valuable in a lot of situations, so I'd always play 1 or 2. Next one is Whirlwind of Power. It's another solid removal card. I mean, this one can even hit leaders, so yeah, it's good. And our last Vigilance card is Shatterpoint. Now, this is a premium card. I mean, Vanquish is a card I've paid 7 for, so getting to play it for 4 is pretty exciting. The existence of this card makes playing upgrades even more risky than usual, so keep it in mind when you're playing against the Vigilance deck. All right, so we're now getting to the command cards. We're going to start again with Villainy and then go into Heroism and then Neutral. Our first card is Exegol Patroller. I mean, it's a fine turn 1 play, although most decks will still prefer to play a force unit. 3 attack is enough that your opponent can't just ignore it. Just be careful against certain leaders that can kill this one for free. Next one is Sith Legionnaire. I mean, it's trivial to activate his abilities, so, I mean, no force, but 4 attack on a turn 1 play is nothing to sneeze at. Next is Villainy. Just a little pet peeve of mine. In French, the accent would be on the first D, not the second. I mean, I get this is space French, but whatever. I mean, okay, it's a reasonable stat line, although the ability is only likely to come up in Snoke decks. Again, no force, but you gotta play something on turn 1. Next is Knight of Ren. I mean, he's just a pure stat stick. It's a curve filler, but, you know, it's a good curve filler, so should always make the cut. Next one is Praetorian Guard. And I mean, it shouldn't be too hard to give him Sentinel in Command Villainy decks, so it's, you know, it's a very reasonable early play. Next is Eighth Brother. So Ambush is the best keyword in the game, and he has a butt big enough to survive most of the time, so I'm always happy to play this. Next is Inquisitor's Lightsaber. I mean, I like it more than Heirloom Lightsaber. It's still not that very exciting. All right, so now we're getting into the Heroism cards. First one is Point Rain Reclaimer. I mean, oh boy, it's completely unplayable turn 1. It's not even good later on when you can play it as a 2/3. Like, this is a garbage card. Like, just don't even consider it. Next up is Gunji. I mean, he's one of the better turn 1 plays that common in the set. I mean, he's just impossible to remove. Next is Jedi Consular. So this is, it's a must kill for your opponent if you play it early. I mean, generally you won't get to activate him until turn 3, just because unless you're playing like Avar Chris or you're playing like one of the rare bases, you're going to have to attack with it the next turn to get the force. So you can't use it right away, but oh man, if you can live the dream and cheat out a 6-drop on turn 3, you can laugh all the way to the space bank. Next is Lor San Tekka. I mean, I'll play him because he's a turn 1 3/2. I'm not going to be happy about it though. Now we have Paladin Training Corvettes. It's not a bad curve filler, even when you're only giving out 1 or 2 experience. Just with the lack of space in it, there's a good chance it'll stick around for a while too, so it's not bad. Next is Kelleran Beck. I mean, this is a fantastic top-end card, especially if you have some cheap Sentinels to get with him. It's definitely something I'm looking for in these colors. Next is Following the Path. I mean, you don't even get to draw the cards. Like, just hard pass. No. All right, so now we're getting into the neutral cards. So the first one is Acclimator Assault Ship. I mean, the effect is very powerful, but I mean, come on, you're not paying 9 for this. Next is Village Tender. It's just far too low impact. Next one is Minoc. A standard note that, you know, it's going to be better in Kanan because it's a creature, but it's still fine in any command deck. Next is Hive Defense Wing. It's deceptively good. It has a big butt and likely won't get challenged in the space arena, so you'll get a bunch of attacks in with it. And we have Maz Kanata. Fun fact, Kanata is actually a suburb of the city where I live. Anyways, you don't need me to tell you that Fleet Lieutenant is good. Now we have Outer Rim Mystic. It's a big butt force unit. Most decks will want it. I would consider cutting it from a deck that doesn't care that much about the force, however. Jedi Temple Guards. Ambush is great and all, but it becomes a lot less exciting on a 2-attack unit. You're still going to play this card, but it will get resource sometimes, which is fine. Kadu. It's situational, but the floor here is a vanilla 4/4 for 4, which isn't bad. And it's a creature for Kanan, yada yada yada. The Goyen Master. It's Bird Person. It's a nice value unit with decent stats. It's almost always worth playing. Relic Scavenger. I mean, this is just the definition of curve filler. Terran Oh, hell yeah. This fella is going to have ambush quite often. I mean, even without it, it's still very reasonable. Hyperspace Wayfarer. I'm looking for a little more in my 6 draws, but sometimes you just play what you have. Trident Assault Ship. Yeah, I'll take a 6/6 Overwhelm over a 4/10 vanilla any day of the week. Filio Star Compass. I can't imagine ever wanting to play this. Directed by the Force. It's definitely not worth a card for this effect. Neiman Strike. I'd consider it in decks that have Overwhelm Force units, or for Force leaders that can get a little extra value on another attack. It's very narrow, but sometimes you'll want to include it. Overpower. I generally dislike cards like this. There's just so much that can go wrong here. It's just not worth the risk. Rampage. I mean, maybe in a mono creature deck? Don't play this. Protect the Pod. It's very clunky, but removal is removal. Just like, don't go ham with the Space Whales just because you have this card. All right, so next is Aggression. Our first card is Acolyte of the Beyond. It's not the best stats in the world, but if you want the force, it does the job. Strike Ship. This is pretty bad. The reason TIE Bomber was good in the last set was that it was hard to remove early, and you can safely put a pilot on it and run away with the game. There's nothing resembling that here. I did say that the set is light on space, but it's not that light. Any space unit your opponent plays can kill this for free. All that said, some decks will still want to play this as an early aggressive unit. Purge Trooper. You'll almost always have a target for this, so it'll be a better Death Trooper a lot of the time. Heavy Missile Gunship. It's a little on the slow and fragile side, but it can definitely grind out some value for you the longer it stays in play. Not having to pay resources for the ability is pretty nice. Thralls of the Coven. It's a filler unit that will sometimes do something with the nitrate. Savage Oppress. Man, these Star Wars names are brutal. Anyways, this card is a great way to instantly lose the game. Battle Fury. This is only playable in the most hyper-aggressive of decks that are going to empty their hand quickly. Now we have Attune Furnock. I keep wanting to call it Attune Frynock, but that's just me. Only 1 hit point is a huge liability. It's absolutely unplayable against any of the ping leaders. I'd say play this if you're short on 2 drops, or, if you're playing Kanan. Jedi Starfighter. I mean, this would have been an all-star in the previous set. Here, it's almost worthless outside of a Kit Fisto deck. Jedi Knight. It's fine. It's an early force unit, so I'd always play it. The stats are below rate, and you won't always have initiative to use the ability. It's going to be one of those cards that makes your deck but gets resourced half the time. Kiadi Mundi. What about the droid attack on the Wookiees? Here's a premium unit. Card draw is typically pretty bad in this game for reasons many of others have already explained. Here is attached to a reasonably sized unit, so there's no tempo loss for playing it. Next is Mace Windu. Here's one of the better force payoffs at Uncommon. It's definitely something I'm looking for in these aspects. Next is Knight Saber. I mean, it's better than Academy Training, I guess. I mean, I could see it as a 30th card, but it's not something I'm excited to play. Focus Determines Reality. This is awful in most situations. However, I would still cite it in against a really heavy Sentinel deck. Witch of the Mist. Oof. These stats are brutal. Only play this if you really need the force right away. Dank Probe Droid. It's not a great turn 1 play usually, but it does have some value later on in the game. That kind of flexibility is always welcome. Infused Brawler. It's just awful. It's a vanilla 2/2 if you play it on turn 1, and it isn't even that good if you play it later. Cartel Interceptor. There's a good chance you can hit your opponent for 8 to 12 before they can deal with this, which is an excellent deal. Hyena Bomber. It's not a bad value unit. It should make the cut assuming you have enough aggression units to reliably proc the ability. Next is Jedi in Hiding. I mean, it's an early force unit that has hidden. The when defeated ability is mostly worthless. Next is Marin. Now this is an early force unit that's a little bit more exciting. It's I mean, you get 1/3 of Poe Dameron's abilities on attack, so that's pretty good. And her huge butt means she'll often live long enough to use it. Next is Tukata. I mean, I like it more than the Furnock, as 2 hit points is at least dodges some of the pings out there. I mean, again, it's a creature, so blah 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 Kanan. Hunting Nexu. This is pretty solid in Shadows Limited, and I expect it'll be even better here. Plus, how can you resist that toothy grin? Quinlan Voss. The floor here is that he's a 4/5 for 4 force unit. You say that 5 times fast. I mean, that's something I'm always happy to play. Getting to trigger his on-attack ability once in a while is a neat little bonus. Whomper, I mean, is a little bit worse than Hunting Nexu in my opinion, but it's still a decent curve filler. And, you know, blah, 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 Kanan as usual. Asajj Ventress. Fun fact, I did Asajj makeup for Halloween last year. Anyways, solid stats, the force, and irrelevant abilities, a combo for a premium uncommon. Blockade Runner. On the slow side, but it's something your opponent can't just ignore. Cards like this are a good reason to always pay attention to the space arena. Sacy Tin. Nice, fine. It's too situational for my liking, and the floor here is an understated vanilla unit, which is pretty bad for a 5-drop. I'd still play it, just with the understanding that it's going to get resourced a lot. Ravenous Rathtar. It's curve filler, but at 8 attack, it's scary curve filler. Next, we have Sorceress Blast. This is fantastic cheap removal, and it's one of the reasons you want to get the Force online early. Unleash Rage. It's another one of those, like, pump my unit, please don't interact with a card. 3 power for 1 resource is a lot, but I would still not want to play this in all but the most hyper-aggressive decks. In Constructed, however, this is quickly turning to be one of my pet cards. Next is Ataru Onslaught. Speaking of pet cards, K-Turn was one of my pet cards last set, and it definitely gave me some disgusting turns. Now, Ataru Onslaught is way more restricted, however. I consider playing it if it could ready your leader, but other than that, I wouldn't play it. Do or do not. This is awful. Don't play this card. And our last aggression card is Lightsaber Throw. Do I really need to explain why this is unplayable? All right, and now for Cunning. Our first card is Adept of Anger. It's very much on the clunky side. It's not something I'm looking to play unless I'm desperate for turn 1 force units. Or a Sing. There's no force, but that doesn't stop her from being a premium early play and still decent later on due to Hidden. Banking Clan Shuttle. I mean, it's curve filler. Hidden is wasted here. In most cases, you're getting an understated unit with not much upside. Nile Marauder. It's not the best 3-drop, but you could do worse. He does a great job of eating all the 4 HP units in the set at the cost of dying for free. Shin Hati. This is an all-star, an early force unit that's very difficult to remove and can often trade for 2 units. It's exactly what you want in these aspects. Balin's Skull, another premium uncommon. There's a lot of utility with the ability being able to either reset one of your units or mess with your opponent. Corrupted Saber. Okay, this is a lightsaber I would actually want to play. There's still the risk of getting blown out, but if your opponent doesn't immediately deal with it, you're taking them to Value Town. It works particularly well in a Grand Inquisitor deck. Next is BD1. At best, this is a role player that can be a 30th card in your deck. N1 Starfighter. It's a very attractive 2-drop if you don't care about getting the Force right away. Youngling Padawan. Now, if you do care about getting the Force, this is what you're looking for. A ho-hum stats, but getting the Force without having to attack can have some value later in the game. J-type Nubian Starship. It's not the most exciting unit, but you should really include some early space units in your deck. It has some value with Qui-Gon, although I'm looking for something a little better to pair with that leader. Jedi Sentinel. She's not as good as Chirrut, but still a very annoying roadblock for your opponents. The 5 attack means it will at least trade with most early units. Stinger Mantis. It's one of the better 5 drops in the set and can get downright goofy in a Qui-Gon deck. Depa Balaba. Ambush and Saboteur is a really good combination that allows you to blow up shields or go right through past sentinels to kill something important. 7 HP means she'll often live after ambushing to be a persistent threat. This is a fantastic unit. Force Speed. So this is a double aspect card, but it only costs 1, so like you can still play it for 3. That said, it's far too situational to main deck this card. Maybe you want to sideboard it. Next is Lothcats. This is pretty bad in any non-Kanan deck. Mysterious Hermit. I don't know what you're planning to ambush with this, and you'd have to be pretty desperate for a turn 1 force unit to consider playing it. Tuscan Tracker. It's a 3-cost 2/4 raid 2. That's already fine. And getting to randomly kill a hidden unit, that's a neat bonus. Charging Philac. Okay, the combination of ambush and hidden is kind of worthless. 4 is the magic number for attack to kill all the 4 HP units, so this doesn't even kill something good a lot of the time. It's playable, I guess, but if I'm looking at my curve and I have too many 4-drops, this is the first in line to get cut. And obligatory blah blah Kanan. Dooku! Yeah, he's okay. He's a 5-power unit that is very likely to get to attack before he dies. And sometimes he'll protect another one of your units. Lifewind Sage. I don't know why this doesn't just have raid 2 with no strings attached. It might as well say that already, since it's going to be trivially easy to activate it. What are they going to do? Not attack you? Sorcerers of Tund. It's a solid late game finisher, not much to say about it. Ascension Cable. I'd consider siding it in against, Ahsoka. It's pretty awful if the Saboteur doesn't do anything. Disturbance in the Force. It's just not worth spending a card for this effect. Force Slow. Normally I love me some value trades, but this isn't what I had in mind. Impossible Escape. These sorts of delaying cards are only good in hyper-aggressive decks. Xian Flurry. The restriction of having to use this with a force unit shouldn't be that big of a deal. It's a very powerful effect, and I would definitely play this in most decks. A Precarious Predicament. Lamau. I love the meme value of this card. It's worse as a card you already want to play, so getting a massive discount on it seems pretty good to me. Plus, I love the bluffing aspect of it. There are downsides, however. It's absolutely awful if your opponent calls your bluff, as they correctly should in most cases, and you don't have its worse. And also keep in mind that if you play its worst from your resource row, you're de-ramping yourself. It's not a smuggle, it doesn't replace itself. I think my rule of thumb is that I would only include this if I had at least 2 copies of its worst. Your mileage may vary, of course. Force Illusion. Pooh. Pounce. You don't need me to tell you that this is only good if you have a lot of creatures in your deck. 3 lessons. It's just way too slow. A 2 resource tax on your unit just isn't worth it. Tip the scale. I would never main deck this card. Most limited decks only have a few non-unit cards. Playing this just to whiff feels absolutely awful. That said, I would side it in if my opponent had some sort of Giga Bomb that I can't otherwise deal with. And our last Cunning card is the Will of the Force, which is a half of Cunning. Cunning is a good card, and this is half of Cunning, so, play it. All right, so our last section for the commons and uncommons is we're just going to lump all the Villainy, Heroism, and neutral cards together. So first off is Forged Starfighter. This would have been playable in the previous set. Here it's garbage. Kylo Ren. He's a turn 1 force unit. Don't go ham and play a bunch of lightsabers just for this. Fallen Jedi. Yeah, it's an early force filler unit that most decks will want. Sand Trooper Cavalry. Lamau, the one creature Kanan doesn't want. It's filler, although it does get better in Darth Maul. HK-87 Assassin Droid. We're mostly playing to the ground, so this is quite risky. If you somehow have a space-focused deck, then go for it, I guess. Army of the Dead. It's vanilla filler, something I would cut if I had better 6-drops. Consumed by the Dark Side. There's almost no grit in this set, so this is pretty useless. Flight of the Inquisitor. Anyone remember that 80s kids movie, Flight of the Navigator? Just me? Anyways, it's only playable if you have a few lightsabers in your deck, which, considering most of them aren't good, it should not come up that often. In the Shadows. So this is worth considering in a third sister deck. Even then, it's pretty loose to play this card. Refugee of the Path. Ew. Caretaker Matron. More ew. Jedi Vector. You know, there are 2-3 space units in the set that don't make you jump through hoops. Just saying. Vulptex. It's not a force unit, but a 3-attack turn 1 unit is always welcome. Blah, blah, Kanan. Gungan Warrior doesn't have any relevant traits, which does kind of suck, but otherwise it's a very solid package. Jocasta Nu. It's an early force unit. The text will rarely do anything. Medical Frigate. This would have been so good in the previous set. Here it's just okay. Blue Squadron Assault Wing. It's one of the better 5-drop filler cards as it can end the game pretty quickly unanswered. Long Beam Cruiser. It's more like game filler. It's a space unit at least, so it's less likely to be killed right away. Porg! This is my favorite art in the game. I actually, I made my profile pic this picture. I love this art so much. Especially like the corner port. That is me. That Porg is me. But sadly, under no circumstances will I ever play this card. Curious Flock. I mean, you're getting an understated unit no matter how much you pay for it. I like flexibility, but here it's bad in all cases. Even in Kanan, sad emoji. Gifted Urchin. Hey, sometimes you need a turn 1 force unit. It's got 4 health at least. Kowakian Monkey Lizard. Listen, I really don't want to pay 2 for Daring Raid. Peli Motto. It's another card that would have been amazing in the previous set and is borderline unplayable in this one. Ravening Gundark. No clever joke here. It's just filler. Go into hiding. I'd want to go into hiding if someone caught me playing this card. Last Words. I mean, you could just play a lightsaber, my guy. It's worse. As I said before, I've definitely played 7 for Vanquish more than once. In Sealed, I usually play 1 or 2 copies, but probably not in Draft. Alright, so we're going to wrap up the review with the rares, legendaries, and special rarities of the set. So we lumped this in its own section just because these cards come off far less often than the commons and uncommons, obviously. So this is why I usually with limited reviews or when you're thinking about limited, you're more concerned with the commons and uncommons just because you're going to see them all the time. Whether they're in your deck or your opponent's decks, you're going to see the same cards all the time, whereas the rares and legendaries, you're going to see them once in a while. So we'll do this. We'll do the same order as with the commons and uncommons. So our first one is Darth Vader. If you can give him ambush with, say, Ceresu stance, you pretty much instantly win the game. Even without ambush, this is a must kill for your opponent, as even 1 attack with him can drastically swing the game. Honestly, I would seriously consider playing this out of aspect. Pong Krell. It's so slow. I mean, I'd play him if I had nothing else at 7+, but I can name a few commons I'd rather have. Darth Sidious. 8 is a lot, and the game will often be over by then. But hey, sometimes this will randomly turn a loss into a win. Kylo Ren's lightsaber. That ability is super narrow. It's worse than the common lightsabers, and you should know how I feel about those by now. Always 2. There's one specific deck that wants this, and it's Darth Maul Blue. The Tragedy of Plagueis. It's an overcosted power of the dark side, which is still fine, I guess. Yaddle. You have to say it like that. You have to say Yaddle. As mentioned before, she's a turn 1/2/4 force unit with some upside. Play it. There's nothing special to say here. T6 Shuttle 1974. Fine, I guess. You really don't want to completely ignore the Space Arena, and these stats are fine. The ability is only really going to come up in an Ahsoka deck. Jedi Holocron. I tend to shy away from upgrades, but this one is very cheap for a decent effect. Jedi Trials. I keep wanting to call this Jedi Trails. It's a cheap upgrade as well, although I like it a lot less than Jedi Holocron, where Holocron at least has a native +1/+1, where Jedi Trials it takes a while for it to get going. Doom. It's just too slow if you have to pay an aspect penalty, which you almost certainly would. If you have a really super long grindy matchup, it's worth citing in, but I would never make deck this card. Size matters not. I nearly gaslighted myself into thinking this and Do or Do Not were the same card. Anyways, you're not paying 5 for this. Axe Wolves, or as I like to call them, Axe Wolves. I mean, I feel like he wandered in from set 2. I mean, he's a fine 3/3 shielded for 3. His issue is that many of the good upgrades require forcing it. Ogdo Bogdo, or as I call him, Oingo Boingo. It's the frog. I mean, it's amazing in a Darth Maul deck, and it's just unplayable anywhere else. Anakin Skywalker, the legendary one. Um, you're not going to double trigger him, so don't even try. I mean, he's plenty good enough already to go in any Vigilance deck, so yeah, just play it. Mythosaur, a Crate Dragon, this is not. There will be some games that go long enough to maybe get an attack with him, but not many. Captain Enoch. There aren't that many troopers in the set, so he's going to be a 1/5 most of the time. You can play him if you have like 6 Sith Legionnaires, I guess, but otherwise leave him on the bench. Drengir Spawn. When is this ever going to kill something and survive? I'd play almost any 4-drop over this. Eye of Scion. Hey, it's the gore of the set. It's not a bomb by any means, but it should do some work in most decks. Supremacy. It costs 12. It has to be good. That was a joke. Craving Power. It's Overwhelming Barrage at home, which honestly is still pretty darn good. This should be a Rival's Fall most of the time and leaves behind a nice little bonus. Just please don't take this as permission to play Kylo. Obi-Wan Kenobi. A vanilla 3/5 for 3 is already good, and if you add in the Force and sometimes Sentinel, it's just a fantastic package. Eth Koth. It's just an excellent value unit, although be careful to not get him killed when you don't have the Force. Leia Organa. Memes aside, this is fine, even if it is a little action intensive. Yoda. This is exactly what we want in an Aatrop, especially if you're able to ready next turn and use the Force immediately. It pairs best with leaders that have a Force-based ability. Yoda's Lightsaber. It gives you something to do with your Force token, even if the payoff isn't incredible. It's not restricted to a Force unit, though, which is nice. Luminous Beings. Okay, so remember when I said temporary pumps are not that good usually? Well, 12 power is absolutely massive and can win you the game on the spot. Oppo Rencesis. It's another double aspect card you're never going to play. Malakili. You should know by now what decks this goes in. Sifo Dyas. Here's another card that wandered in from a different set, this time in set 3. There's exactly one clone in this set, and it's a crappy one at that, so you're getting a vanilla understated unit. The Purgle King. Anyone else picture this guy with a monocle and top hat? Just me? I mean, he's slow AF, but oh man, is it ever going to be impossible for your opponent to win if you start attacking with it. If you have the cards to support a slow, dirtily deck, then go for it. The Burden of Masters. It's a lot of text for a whole lot of nothing. HK-47. Not exactly the bomb you're looking for in a legendary, but it's a totally reasonable turn 1 play, and sometimes you'll care about that Sith trait. Grand Inquisitor. He's an early Force unit that hits hard and is very difficult to remove. He also gives the Grand Inquisitor leader hidden as well, which is pretty dang exciting. Sadly, there's only 3 other Inquisitor units in the set, 2 of which are rares, so look at that last line of text as a bonus. Scythe. As noted before, there aren't very many Inquisitors in the set, and none at common, so the ability will often be blank. Sith Holocron. It's quite risky. You generally don't want to be damaging your own units without a good reason. Darth Maul's Lightsaber. This is nearly a Darksaber, and well, if you can support a Darth Maul deck, it's cuckoo bananas. Even in other decks, it's still a very scary card. Deathfield. With all the high health units running around, this won't reliably be a board sweep. However, it shouldn't be that difficult to kill a couple units and draw a card, which is a good deal for 4 resources. Adi Gallia. It's a turn 1 2/4 Force unit. Kit Fisto's Aether Sprite. It's big disabling Fang Fighter. Just once. I want my opponent to deploy Kylo Ren Leader when I have this in my hand. It's a solid space unit that will punk shields or experience or an actual card if you're lucky. Rey. She is a 5 resource 5/5 with Force. The text is blank. Sindralig. Wow, this is just awful. Are you really going to hold the lightsaber in your hand for the entire game hoping to draw this? Give me a break. Paz Vizsla. It's, the double aspect tax, etc. Invasion Control Ship. There are slightly more droids than Inquisitors, but not enough where this won't be a vanilla unit most of the time. It is very big, at least. Bendu. Can be an okay finisher if you can live long enough to attack with it. Heavy Blaster Cannon. Every once in a while, you're going to look like a genius for blasting away multiple shield tokens. Far more likely is that you end up skipping your turn when you play this. It can be a good sideboard card, however, so keep that in mind. Time of Crisis. Another card that would have been great in the previous set, or even set 3, and is pretty loose in this one. How often do you think your opponent will have more than one unit this can kill? Deceptive Shade. I mean, it's pretty cool. It can lead to some gross turns if you time it right. I just know someone is going to ambush a Vader at me with this at some point. Second Sister. It's set 1 Boba Fett at home. I wouldn't lean super hard into this ability, but it is nice to be able to play a cheap card for free sometimes. Martian Row. This can vary wildly from does nothing to downright terrifying. He's likely worth playing regardless, although I would cut him if I didn't have any raid units and had better 6 drops. As I have foreseen, I foresee you'll be disappointed more often than not if you put this card in your deck. Liberated by Darkness. Change of Heart was fantastic, and this is a cheaper version. You can often win the game on the spot if you're patient and wait for the right moment. Hey, it's Editing Miranda here. I realized later, after I already wrote my set review, that I forgot to include the Cunning Anakin Skywalker, the one drop. So here's just a really super quick review here. So it's a 1/1 shielded hidden for 1. So normally it's a fairly low impact card. There are certain use cases for it I can think of. So like if you really care about having the Force very early, your opponent's just not going to be able to remove this before you can attack with it. And the other use case for it is if you want to play some upgrades, then he's actually pretty safe to put upgrades on because of the shield and the hidden. So, but I don't think I would include him in most decks, but in some decks he would make the cut. Vernestra Rowe. I've been playing with her a little bit in Premiere, and man, she's good. Definitely prioritize the turn 1 Force units even more if you have her. Qui-Gon Jinn's Aether Sprites. The stats are piss poor and there aren't even that many when-played abilities. Qui-Gon Jinn. Holy crap, this is the best ambusher in the set. Well, the best one that has ambush natively, that is. Killing 2 things or killing 1 thing and leaving behind a 7 power attacker is really heckin' good. Qui-Gon Jinn's Lightsaber. It's playable in Qui-Gon and nowhere else. Mind Trick. You don't need to play this card. You can play better cards. Premonition of Doom. Bleh. Zuckuss. This wouldn't even be good at 5. At 7, it's laughably bad. Babu Frick. As noted earlier, there really aren't that many droid units. Don't bother with this one. The Legacy Run. Obviously, the effect is extremely powerful, but you're still paying 5 for a 3/3. Don't play this into an empty space arena, as your opponent can just not play units there and leave you with a mostly useless unit. Psychometry. It's a lot of words to draw a card, and sometimes not even do that. Trust your instincts. Oh, hell yeah, this is Value Town right here. You can even snipe leaders with this, and it only costs 1! Darth Tyrannus. Speaking of, here's an excellent value unit. Just be sure to play those early Force units. Scimitar. 6 power is massive on a 4-drop if you can reliably damage it. It's obviously made for Darth Maul, it's not so great in other decks. Darth Malik. Sadly, Darth Revan is too difficult to make work in Limited. The only other Sith leader is Darth Maul, otherwise he's coming in sleepy. I mean, it's still fine if you can get over the FOMO. The Sun. If you have any kind of board, you can just win on the spot with this card. Even by himself, an 8/8 for 7 is nothing to sneeze at. Darth Revan's Lightsabers. I mean, there are early Sith units, but this is frequently going to be Academy training, which is not something I'm looking for. Grogu. Definitely on the slow side, but you can get quite a lot of incremental value the longer he stays on the board. I'd be happy to play him in most decks, just not the really aggro ones. Luke Skywalker. Here's a really good way to spend your Force every turn, assuming you have a decent number of unique units. The Daughter. Speaking of good ways to use your Force, this card is mega annoying for your opponent to deal with, especially if you can generate multiple Force tokens per turn. It's a great option for any deck that wants to make it to the late game. The Father. Daddy, no. Constructed Lightsaber. Now this is what I'm looking for in a lightsaber. It is better in Villainy decks where it's essentially a dark saber. It's still good in Heroism decks where you have the flexibility to either get Restore or Sentinel depending on what makes the most sense in the situation. I suppose that's also true in Villainy decks, but I can't imagine not smashing in for 1 million. I suspect this is going to end a lot of games very quickly. All right, that's going to do it for our limited set review for Legends of the Force. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found some value there, and I hope it helps you win your pre-release. So, if you did like the videos, make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe. All of that, it really helps. This is a brand new channel, and I'm looking to grow the audience as much as possible. So, yeah, let's see you next time, where we'll be learning how the Badger got his stripes, and I'll be playing some more music by bands you've never heard of and don't like very much. Bye.